we had about anywhere from 60 to 100 rabbits, depending on who was kindling and stuff like that in that barn. We never ran those on pasture. We just kind of ran those in cages inside.
Did you say 60 to 100?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, and then I used to have, anywhere from a couple hundred to 500 quail in my garage, and 40 to 60 meat birds, quarters cross out on pasture, 100 layers, dozen or two turkeys on pasture. Yeah.
This is the Farm Hop Life podcast, a traveling homestead family. I'm Matt DeRozier. I'm joined today by Brian with the Lots Project, homesteader, soon to be full-time RVer and podcaster. He and his wife Corey are shutting down their homestead in Minnesota and moving to an off-grid RV in search of a better climate in more ways than one. A few possible business ideas are also in the works. That's pretty cool. Maybe we'll get to explore that. So, how you doing, Brian?
Oh, not bad, not bad. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. So it's hard to ask somebody questions when they have their own freaking podcast and they can explain it like, oh yeah, just go listen to my podcast and we'll find out everything you need to know. Like, well, crap. Anyways, but I guess now we'll have a condensed version.
Yeah, no, I have no problem
end.
answering questions. That's there's plenty of episodes of my podcast, and there's plenty more to go. So putting information out there is no problem.
So, how did you get started homesteading?
Oh, well, we were in the suburbs of Minneapolis, kind of inner ring suburbs, probably 9 years ago. So this was long before any of the
inner ring suburbs.
Well, yeah, we were maybe 10 minutes from downtown Minneapolis, 15 minutes.
Oh, sure. Like you're talking about the 694, 494 loop. I get
you. Yep. Yeah, we were in Crystal, right on 142nd. So right there, close. The other side of 100. So we were like 5 blocks from there. The other side was pretty rough neighborhood and going downhill. Our neighborhood was kind of going downhill. And I just kind of wanted out of the city. And it was kind of in the heyday of doomsday preppers and all that. And that was kind of like it wasn't a driving motivator, but it was kind of this is kind of a little far-fetched, but there's some legit shit to it. There's some things to take away from it, but not go whole hog into it. So we decided we wanted to move out away from people being on top of each other, and we figured it was going to spread. So we wanted to go way out and buy a decent sized property. And we figured the only way to do that was kind of support ourselves a little bit. And that's kind of what we looked for. We found an old farm and started it back up. It was old, it had been a bunch of different things. And so we kind of transformed it into a little homestead with a bunch of different ventures on it. And did all sorts of stuff. So that's kind of how we got started.
Nice. So you were there for 8 years.
Yeah, right? Around that.
Okay, nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And now you're packing it up. You're kinda is it kind of sad, or you're like, nah, forget this. I'm ready to move on.
I don't know. I walk around now and I see the things and remember the things I did and shut down and changed and all the stuff I learned. And it's kind of like sentimental and whatever, but man, it's freaking cold in the winter.
Yeah.
I just think about that, and that was kind of the tipping point for us, was realizing that we do this try to do this whole thing in 4 months a year, like try to do sustain ourselves and make enough product to sell people and make a living for 12 months on 4 months of growing season or 5 months of growing season. And it's just the energy and everything that goes into the animals and the growing. And we were like, we're looking at zone 6-7 ish, where we kind of want to land in the end, and it's 100 more days a year growing season.
Wow.
100. That's a third of a year more that you have an opportunity to produce things to support yourself with, or to sell or barter to help support yourself with. It's like that's ridiculous. I'm in a 3B because I'm in a little microclimate by the lake, and like we're colder than the people that are north of us, and it's ridiculous, and it is what it is. I've been in Minnesota for 20 years. I get it. It's not like I can't handle the cold. It's just freaking harder to do everything.
Yeah. I was talking to some friends a while back about like climate change, right? And I'm like, okay, so like if you take like this, if you look at the theory of like solar minimum, grand solar minimum, maximum, that whole thing, and if we start to shift to like shorter years, like growing, right? I'm kind of butchering this, but you kind of can pick up what I'm trying to say here. If it shifts, and I right now I've got like 120-ish like growing days where I'm at. If it shifts and all of a sudden I only have like 90, well, there's a quarter of my growing season that just like cut off the back end, cut off the front end, and like that's all you get. That's all of a sudden I'm trying to produce the same amount of food with 3/4 of the time. Like that.
Yeah,
that's hard.
I'm
That's hard
seeing
to do.
estimates of like a 2-zone shift, like a 2 USDA zone shift. So like if we end up in zone 7 in the next few years, it'll be like living in a zone 5 as far as like average winter temps and growing period. It's kind of
almost back to where you were.
Yeah, that's what, like we're willing to go a little further south on the
Sure.
venture that it's going to be shifting colder. Like I don't think it's going to be getting hotter by any means. So just by experiencing what it's been here over the last 20 years and watching, just like I don't buy into all the bullshit and all the crazies online, but I've experienced what it's been. Like I work outside, I have a homestead, like I experience the weather all year round, and I've watched the shift. I've watched the shift in length of the cold, the how it comes on. Like it's way more sudden over the last few years, or the last decade really, where there isn't like a fall anymore. It's like hot, cold, done, nothing. And then in the spring it's the same thing. It just switches. And where there used to be a fall season, like where it was a slow transition.
Yeah. Instead of, man, all of a sudden I feel like I got to put on pants today. Like instead, like I was just like shorts and just like, what? This is freezing. Like, or, it was like 70 degrees outside and you're like, what the heck? The chicken's water froze? Like, this is weird.
Well, that was my turning moment was we were out, we had pasture raised turkeys. We were moving in John Siskovich style tractors out in our field, and it was the end of October. So I was still a month out from Thanksgiving, and I was trying to get my turkeys to my customers like the week before I was going to process them on site and sell them if they wanted them fresh. I wanted to be able to keep them fresh for Thanksgiving. This was like the 3rd week October, 4th week October, and I had them way out in the back of the field, and we got like 14 inches of snow. And it was a freak thing. It kind of dove off in temperature. We got this huge snowstorm, and it built up all around my tractor. And then the next day it was like 45, 50, but my tractor was still impacted in the snow and I couldn't move it. So I had like 10 turkeys in this tractor that were close to adults. Like I was moving them twice a day. And so now they're stuck there for like 4 days. And I'm having to put like pine chips in there and feed them extra because they're not getting the grass. Now all the grass is dead because the snow melt and it just choked everything out. I'm like, this is stupid. It's October. Like I can't even raise turkeys on pasture to the end of November to give customers. like I have to worry about them being impacted in snow in the middle to end of October.
Yeah.
I gotta go somewhere else.
Those damn turkeys.
Well, yeah, but then the whole garden, like, who's got their garden put to bed by the third week of October? Like,
Right.
but everything was just plastered in snow and done. Like, there was
Done
no
for you.
prepping it. There was
Snow's
no.
an insulator.
Well, yeah. There was just no like. There was no prepping, putting everything to bed just because you were still working on the summer shit and hadn't finished everything up. So how are you preparing for winter? And it's just this cycle that, yeah, I'm done with it. Like I need more time. Like I'm getting older. I need to slow down. I need more time to produce the same amount.
So what motivates you to grow your own food?
Not having to put a mask on for the last 2.5 years. I mean, I didn't go to the grocery store. Like I had all my own stuff. I had all my own meat. I had all my own vegetables, mostly greens. Like I'm paleo, keto-ish, whole food, one ingredient food. So I had a vertical hydroponic system in my kitchen that I had more greens and microgreens than I could ever eat between Corey and I. And then, yeah, like 5 deep freezers full of meat and more produced every day. Like I could have called anything any day and had more if I needed it, but I was so stocked up and, yeah, I just didn't go to the store. Like, I don't want to put a mask on, so I'm not going to go to the store where they're requiring me to put a mask on. I'm just going to go to my freezer and yeah, it was nice.
So you're your own grocery store. So it's not so much the mask. I mean, the mask sucks, but you're just like, I don't have to.
Right.
Straight up.
But that's just an example. Like, what else? Yeah. Like, oh, I lost my job. Well, at least I don't have to go to the grocery store.
Oh, prices are up 200%. Wow.
Great.
Yeah. Still don't have to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a big change, like shutting that down. And it's been, so we started this to transition and decided to leave before any of this started. Like it's been 2.5 years, the whole process of shutting down the farm and getting the trailer and converting the trailer and kind of planning this out. And we've taken our time and done our research. And yeah, so we've kind of done it all through all the scary shit. And we're like, man, like, is it right? Is this what we should do? So yeah, there's a lot of contingency planning going on, and now like fuel costs and everything. So yeah, it's ever evolving project for sure.
Yeah, that the fuel prices for sure are just like,
yeah.
Are we gonna have to stay in one spot? Like, you know, and you're looking for your spot where, you know, we're trying to, you know, just go everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, are we gonna have to stay in like a general area for like longer durations than planned, kind of thing?
Yeah.
We're
thinking about possibly just buying a home base and kind of possibly transitioning it into a hip camp that we can stay at, obviously, because it's mine. I own it. But kind of do it in a permaculture-esque aspect where if we want to come back there or we never leave there, that we're building towards something long-term. But if we're going to do it in a way that if fuel prices come down or we figure out a way to fund fuel prices that we can take off, but still make income on that by renting it while we're gone. And then if that's the one that we end up wanting to stay at long-term, it's already prepped to start to build a forever spot. So it's kind of like a holding platform. Like I'm wondering, like we're getting ready to sell here pretty quick, hopefully. I'm just like, I had like 14 things going on today. One of them, I mean, a bunch of them have to do with getting us back in the camper because we had to winterize it. And yeah, our last frost date was on Friday. So like I couldn't really get my lithium batteries back in there and heat the camper just to heat the camper when I'm still heating the house because it's still freaking cold here.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah. As soon as we get into the camper, we can pack the truck and we're just like going to pack out to where we're leaving then everything else here is for sale. Like everything, the house, the property, anything you want to buy, come make an offer, and you'll probably get it. So that's kind of the plan. But we're going down to Self-Reliance Festival here in a couple of weeks. So more than likely we're gonna have to come back. So that's gonna be a spendy trip that we'll have to recover. We'll have to recover from. So we'll see. We'll see.
That kind of sucks. So on your property, what kind of like methods or techniques or practices are you using? Like, do you have like swales? Do you have
oh man, all sorts. As far as gardening, we did a bunch of raised beds. Tried a little bit of hugelkultur. We did some container gardening. We did hydroponics. We never got into aquaponics. It's really tough in Minnesota because it gets so cold in the winter. But we did we tried all the different gimmicky potato towers and stuff like that. And we did. We've kind of transitioned mostly into perennial stuff, and then herbals. Like I have a pretty decent sized comfrey business that I'm kind of leaving to the next owner to develop. And all sorts of different techniques like that. The raised beds are kind of terraced into a hill because I was stupid.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Well, yeah, it looks really cool, and it was a great concept, but it was the totally wrong place for a garden. So,
oh shoot,
I saw.
Why is that? Well, sorry. Let me get to that in just a second. Let's put a pin in that. Keep going.
Yeah. So there's those. We didn't know what we were doing when we got here, but we've learned a lot going through it, and a lot of different techniques and different things that we've learned. So I was more focused on meat production.
Okay.
I would have to say than the gardening. We thought we were going to come up and have a big market garden and realize that meat was much more profitable, and really scaled back and did things just for ourselves on the produce side.
Gotcha. I gotcha. So you would did you ever do rabbits? Did I hear you ever? Okay. So did you have run rabbits in front and chickens behind them or anything like that?
No, all our rabbits were in a barn. We have so the property set up, we got a big old farmhouse and then a detached garage. And then we have a old, it's like let's say 40 by 80. It's the base of an old barn. So like the concrete foundation of an old barn, and then they put a new top on it when the barn fell down. They just put trusses and a roof on it. And then we have a whole chicken metal shed with 2 outside runs. So we had about anywhere from 60 to 100 rabbits, depending on who was kindling and stuff like that in that barn. We never ran those on pasture. We just kind of ran those in cages inside.
Did you say 60 to 100?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, and then I used to have, anywhere from a couple hundred to 500 quail in my garage, and 40 to 60 meat birds, cornish cross out on pasture, 100 layers, dozen or 2 turkeys on pasture. Yeah.
No, dude, you I suppose if you got to cram everything in your growing season, that includes animals as well, because I mean, otherwise you're just killing yourself trying to keep them from freezing to death in the winter.
Yeah, and then I work 60 hours a week too with that, so
no big deal.
Who
needs to sleep?
I mean, we would in the winter, we would ramp up like the rabbits. We did for I think 3 years. So in the winters we would, and this all built up. Like that was our peak, was 60 to 100. We started with like a breeding trio, and then shortly after got another breeding trio of different types, and then grew it out of that. Like I was doing breeding programs and building genetics and different breeds or different rabbits and breeders. And we were selectively breeding and keeping out of the litter and building our own lines. So then we just kind of were like, man, this is more than we wanted to do. Like I was selling into the raw pet food market mostly with my meat in my sales.
Specifically rabbit meat?
All of it.
All of it. Okay.
I sold rabbit, I sold quail into the raw pet food, and lizard and snake food on the quail mostly, and a little bit on the rabbits, baby rabbits. Like I would call kits for people if that's what they wanted, anywhere from day old to full grown. However big they wanted them, they could order them from me. And then quail the same way. Like I would do day old quail. I would euthanize them with CO or CO2, CO, whatever, in a chamber. I'd just get a tank, get it refilled, and gas them out at any age. So they looked live for the snake, but they were frozen. Like I didn't cut their heads off. They were a whole bird. Like, because normally when I would call my quail, I'd snip their heads off. But some of these guys wanted birds that looked alive, like were a whole bird. So I had to figure out how to cull them and keep them whole. So like, yeah, I did a bunch of research and I designed my own like death chamber.
That's kind of messed up.
Yeah, like I tinkered around with all that shit. Like I was hatching quail. Like I was hatching between 150 and 250 quail a week and selling those as babies or hatching eggs. And like, yeah, I had a whole
dude.
Oh yeah, it was I had a Sportsman, one of those big Sportsman cabinet incubators that ran full for, I think it was let's see, so that'd be about 30 months straight. Like,
wow,
full.
I didn't realize you had like the scale of your operation. Because like it kind of comes off, you're just like, oh yeah, I dabbled in this, dabbled in that, and dabbled in this, dabbled in that, and I'm just like, oh yeah, okay. But I didn't realize it was like, no, it was like a lot of like the quantity wise, it was a lot of this thing and also 12 other things all at the same time. Like,
yeah. We went for it. Like
obviously, yeah.
We had kind of a 5-year plan. We were going to evaluate. We evaluated after 4 years, and we were kind of narrowing down so we want to just try everything. Like we wanted to learn how to do everything. We didn't quite get to pigs, was the one thing that we wanted to do that we didn't hear. And possibly some sort of beef milk cow. Like we don't drink milk. So that's not a big deal. We thought about goats. We didn't do that, but we wanted to run everything. We wanted to know how to be able to run meat chickens and have them for ourselves, or be able to sell them if we wanted to do that. We wanted to be able to do the same with turkeys and rabbits and quail and have layer hens and run a laying operation and know how to do all the book work as far as figuring out egg costs and feed costs and all that. So we ran this operation up to a point where we couldn't just do it anymore. Like we had to go full time. We pushed everything to the brink of if it was to go any bigger, it was going to have to be a full-time venture. Like it was going to have to support itself. And then we would back it down to production levels for ourselves. So we would go balls out, build it, go balls out, and then scale it back to what we wanted for us, if we wanted to keep it going at all. So we were up to like 100 laying hens, and now we're back down to like a dozen free range that are like, that's just our eggs because we're not selling any anymore.
Right.
So, but we learned how to do it. And when we stop again, we're hoping to just get to those levels to do it for us. And then whatever ways we figure out to support ourselves for what we can't provide ourselves, then if that has to be selling rabbits or, breeding quail or hatching eggs, or if it's something totally different, like a skill service or online business or whatever it is, we still want to provide all that stuff for ourselves and use those skills we learned here.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
And nuance. There's like other shit I want to try too that just will be a way easier in a warmer climate.
Yeah, especially especially attitude. Just like instead of just like I'm tired of the free, like this sucks. I mean that's gotta speak for something too. So
Oh yeah, for sure. There's definitely some shit to be said about seasonal depression disorder, like, or seasonal whatever it's called, SAD or whatever. In the middle of winter, I get it here. Like, you just don't do anything because there's no sun. It's fucking cold. excuse me for
that's all
the
right.
F-bomb there, but yeah, it's and you just get depressed. Like, the sun will come out for a day and you go outside and you're like, oh my god, I feel completely different. I feel so much better. And then the next day it's just cloudy for months on end.
What have you tried that worked well?
On the farm?
Yeah.
Oh man, all sorts of stuff. I love the pastured chickens. I love the John Siskovich model chicken tractors. I did a little bit of modifications on those for the water. I ended up hanging a 5-gallon bucket on the back and running tubing inside, and had like auto waters instead of having the hanging drip nipples inside, because I'm 6'5", and getting in those tractors with a 5-gallon bucket and filling that, it was just easier to walk around the back and dump it in and have an auto feed inside. But other than that, those tractors were great. I loved them. Ended up building 2 or 3 more after I built the first one. That was great. We had success with container gardening in like 5-gallon buckets for peppers and tomato plants, and then 55-gallon drums cut in half. We using those for different planting, and then it's just kind of easier to weed. It's you can build whatever soil structure you want. You can use your compost, you can use whatever, and it's smaller amount. Like, you're not building a whole system. And then you can also, if it goes bad or whatever, you get some crap seed in there where you can just dump it out and start again. Then that's what we were kind of going to for our production produce, was more of a container. We can bring it in and out of the garage if we get an early frost, because that shit likes to happen here. We can actually pick it up, put it in a cart, and bring it into the garage to protect it. Or so it's just like stealth shit like that.
Sure.
Yeah, man, what worked well? I think it all worked well. I mean, like,
we just made tons of money over the last 8 years. Like, I
no,
work for fun these
I wouldn't say
days.
that. I wouldn't say that. Everything went right back into the farm, like trying the new venture, and trying different techniques and building different things. And yeah, I would try anything. So I would not say that we made a ton of money by any means. We were still working our jobs, and yeah, we were just expanding and trying different shit, and learning everything we could, and seeing what stuck. The comfrey business, yeah, that was the most successful thing I did. And that will probably be another venture I'll do again, especially with a longer growing season. Yeah, I did great with it. Like, I still am. Like, I'm just doing it till I leave. And
Sure.
hopefully the person that takes this place over realizes that they have, I mean, like, right now I don't even push it, and I'm in that a couple $100 a week range, like, all last year.
Good for you. That's awesome.
From the first week I could dig last year till it froze, every week I was making a couple $100 just digging comfrey root. It was like, I'd go out, I'd spend an hour on Sunday. I'd ship once a week. I didn't try to make a ton of money. It was just like on Etsy. I didn't advertise it, and yeah, it was nice. And could have made it bigger, but we knew we were winding down. It was just kind of seed money for paying for some of the camper stuff, and all that is all it is at the moment. But if I was staying here, yeah, that's a full-time income if you really wanted to make it one.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah. Whoever buys your place will be like, if you dig this up or let it die, you're stupid, because
you can't. I got probably 200 plants right now, so that's that. I mean, it's tough.
Right,
it'd be tough to kill it.
I actually want to talk to you about comfrey after the show.
Yeah, sure.
So let's go back What have you tried that failed or didn't work well? Let's talk about your raised beds.
Oh yeah.
No, I don't really want to talk about that.
north facing slope on a probably what it's a pretty significant slope. I had this vision when we moved in that this would be an awesome place for terraced raised beds, 4x8. What are they? 14 inches deep, 18 inches deep, something like that. Uh, Terraced into the hills. We have 16 of them. I put them rows and plotted them all out, and yeah, it's a north facing slope. And it's why would I want to walk up and down that fucking hill just to do gardening? And oh man, it's just the complete wrong place. And it was a ton of work and a ton of time and a ton of money, and then we ended up gardening somewhere else anyway. So that turned into like perennials. I got a lot of garlic up in them, and rhubarb. Like we ended up starting rhubarb from seed and asparagus from seed. So I have like 7-year-old established rhubarb plants that we started from seed in those beds, and then asparagus that's 6-7 years old that we started from seed. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we were going to go to there. And then, like I said, we were doing our produce because we weren't really selling any of it anymore. We sold a lot of cherry tomatoes, like a ton of cherry tomatoes was like our thing when Corey worked in the cities. So she'd go down there. I think she worked part-time from home and part-time from the city. So she'd go in like 2 or 3 days a week, and she would take eggs and cherry tomatoes in season and sell them to all our coworkers at the hospital, like sell out. Like she could take as much as she could carry down and like sell out at city prices. Well, then she started working full-time from home, and no one around here is going to pay $6 a dozen for eggs or whatever we wanted to charge for tomatoes. So that's when that we decided to start scaling back. But that was after we had already decided to leave, so it made sense just to start culling everything out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that kind of sucks that you guys lost that easy sale.
Yeah, but it was almost like the sales were just paying for her gas money to go down there because it's 90
so
miles.
Then it's a wash, sure.
That's an hour and a half and 90 miles one way. So
Makes
the
sense.
gas, the time, all that, and yeah, you sold the product, but like, how much are you really making? Like $6 a dozen. But we fed no corn, no soy, transitional organic. Everything was high end feed and pasture raised. Like we made the product what we wanted to eat, and
Sure.
that was the reason we were doing it. So we knew what was in our food. So by that byproduct, that's the product we produced to sell, was what we wanted to eat and the healthiest meat we could. So yeah.
let's talk about that for one of my notes that we actually came up from when I got interviewed on your show was, why do you do no corn or no soy chicken feed?
The soy, the soy is all the phytoestrogens, and I'm a non-soy person. Like I don't, I see the soy replacement for protein, and the like I can't go out and eat a soybean. Like it's toxic. Like you have to cook it, you have to process it. So that's not something I'm into. And the corn, like I just want to get it out of there. It's a processed GMO product, and it's who knows what it is. Like it was just easier to go no corn and no soy. The soy definitely for the egg layers, because it concentrates the phytoestrogens in the egg of the bird, which is the egg you're eating. So I don't need any more estrogen. Like, and Corey's fine. Like she's woman enough, even though she is definitely all woman. And so we don't need to mess with that chemistry in our bodies. And so we eat a ton of eggs because that's part of being keto-ish, paleo-ish, and the fact that we have them here. So we just try to keep that out of our diet. And so we found a great source for it at a reasonably priced feed. And so that's what we kind of transitioned to that. And then we just went that way with all our birds, and we found it. The meat tasted better. The birds seemed healthier because like we did that with our pasture chickens and turkeys. They were smaller. We did have to raise them a little longer and had smaller birds, but obviously just because they're not packing on crap weight from crap food. And yeah, so that was kind of that reasoning.
Sure. I just I've heard the no soy before. I haven't heard the no corn before.
Corn, I just saw the corn as a filler. It was
Sure.
just a filler. So if they could get more nutrients and their nutrition from actually filling, like it wasn't just a filler in the food to make up the protein. So we would add different seeds and stuff like that through the custom mix at the processor.
Sure. Just wanted to make sure that got covered. I was like,
yeah, it's a little goofy. I mean, the soy is the bigger issue, and
right.
The corn, that started with the meat birds, and then we just continued to do it with the layers. The meat birds, we didn't want them changing the flavor of the meat with the corn. We wanted it more on the grass and then the seed, and then it just kind of transitioned into the eggs also, or the layers also.
Gotcha. I can take a guess, but I want to hear your answer. What's been the biggest challenge in farming or homesteading you faced?
Customers.
Oh, you surprised me.
No,
seriously?
The weather is, that's just the no-brainer, but I would have to say proximity to markets, proximity to customers that are willing to pay the prices that for the product that I'm raising.
That's a good answer.
I have a friend that's down the road that does pastured pork and beef and turkey, and he's very successful with it, but he does it full time. So he travels every day of the week in the summer going to markets that are, 90 miles away or 70 miles away one way. And he's got time to do it. And he has a customer base that's at those markets, which kind of transitions to on farm. But like, I just didn't have time to raise the product, work full time, drive to and spend time at markets and everything. So yeah, proximity to a clientele that's willing to pay what I need to make it work.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. That, I live where I want to live, but where I need to sell my stuff, people don't live near me. So it's like a catch-22. It's it's tough. Just picking your spot. You're like, this is perfect. This is paradise. Oh crap! I have to drive so far to sell my product to yuppies for people that'll be willing to pay the price.
We're transitioning our view of why we're doing what we're doing is to provide for ourselves, and we have to come up with a different way to provide the income for the rest of where we fall short. So,
right.
Instead of, we know we're going to have to make a premium product for ourselves. That's our standard for ourselves. So unless I'm close to a group of people that want to buy it from me, and it will be a very small group because I'm not going to do what I did before, then I'll have all that I can produce for myself, and the shortcomings or the things that I can't produce for myself, the fuel and whatever, then I need to come up with a different revenue model to get that, whether that's doing side work as a handyman or consulting with people or whatever that is. I got a few different things that I'm willing to try anything. Like that's who I am. I'm like the serial entrepreneur idea guy that just looks at shit and this is how I'm going to make money with this. This is how I'm going to monetize this. This is how I'm going to try to monetize this. And so that's just kind of what I do. And something will stick eventually. Something or a bunch of little things add up to a lot is also my theory. Like if I have a bunch of little streams all coming together, all of a sudden it's significant.
Let's let's travel down that road for a second. What kind of money making ideas do you have when you guys are traveling? Like, because you're gonna do your so I kind of screwed up the intro. The Lots Project stands for living outside the system, and you
Yep.
guys are traveling in an RV for at least a year, is what it sounds like, before you throw down roots and find your place. So over the year, do you have some um do you have some money making ideas for the first year, like while you're traveling?
Yeah, well, and yeah, that was the original plan is a minimum of a year. With everything kind of going sideways, I kind of mentioned before that we might stop and buy that first property. Well, one of the things that has come out of exploring this, so we took our time doing it. Like we knew it was going to be a while before I could completely renovate an RV. So it was like I installed a solar system and a wood stove and a toilet and all sorts of different stuff that was going to take a while. So during that time, we kind of started building different revenue models, and Corey might be able to continue to work for her job because she works 100% remotely right now. So they're just kind of working out the details of she can do that without a permanent address, or how that all plays out. We're not sure. But yeah, with the advent of COVID and all that stuff and the work from home, there's a lot more remote work opportunities, um, online, fully remote. And we've installed pretty decent internet in the trailer. So that's one revenue model that we're going to do. But if we do just buy a property to start and kind of hold off while fuel prices bounce around, um, we might be able to just pull that off anyway, or work locally. We're hoping to be able to use some of the money from the sale of our home to kind of ease that transition. And yeah, so yeah, it's all in the air right now. It depends on how much it costs, really.
Yeah.
And with fuel prices through the roof, we might just slow down on the traveling to start and kind of feel it out and see where it goes. So yeah, we're all up in the air. We're very flexible with what we're doing, and we would really like to take off and go on the road, but if it's going to cost me, $2,000 to move, we don't get the greatest fuel mileage with the truck and everything we own pulled behind it, because it's kind of pushing the weight limits of our. We stay below the weight ratings of everything, but it's definitely on the top end of that and burning fuel pretty quick.
Yeah. Are you are you looking for raw land or place with a house on it, or just raw?
No, we're looking for raw land. And not even necessarily any utilities. We want water, whether that's a pond or a creek or a well that's there or a spring, whatever it is, some water source. But yeah, power doesn't really bother me because I've outfitted my camper to, like, that was the nice part. We built a camper to boondock and use BLM land and all that. And so we don't need any of that if we buy a property. We can just pull the camper onto it, and I can cut some trees out of the way. And as long as we get sun, we have water. We figured out different ways to do water with the camper, and we have a tank in our truck, so we can go get water and transfer water with the truck without moving the camper. So
nice.
We can find it, but I would much rather just do it on the property. So but that's what we're looking for, is raw land. And then we're thinking we want to do alternative living. We don't really want a house. We moved into the camper and realized we don't need that much space. We've looked at yurts and like earth contact structure and different things, and just to be more in nature. We're kind of trying to get out of what this whole society has conditioned everybody to do, and go back to listening to nature and our bodies, and just living with what's around us, not like fighting against it.
I was gonna say you'd be quite the hypocrite to be building a conventional home when your whole thing is living outside the system. Like, this guy's a phony. This guy's
Yeah,
fake.
well, yeah, that was the original plan. Was this all kicked off is when we decided to leave, we decided we wanted to go live in a yurt in the mountains in Idaho, like in the banana belt there, and yeah, once we realized that we were going to have some place to live while we built the yurt, and we were like, well, how are we going to get there, and what are we going to do? And we decided, oh, well, we'll get an RV. And that turned into, why are we going to Idaho? Why don't we just drive around and find out where we want to be instead of just picking a place and going there, since we'll be mobile anyway. And yeah, that turned into all of this.
Last question. When you guys finally, not last question, but just talking about like you're finding your spot.
Yeah.
When you guys finally find your spot, are you gonna have to find a regular job? Or are you gonna do like, are you gonna start a handyman business? Or are you gonna just do like 12 different side hustles and see what takes off? Or what do you?
Whatever happens, whatever needs to be done, like is kind of what I'm willing to do, whatever I got to do. I'm building, I have my podcast and my YouTube channel and all of that stuff, and I'm building online sales of different things. I'm doing some white labeling and some projects of my own, and got something in the works with like a silversmith, and might be doing some stuff with silver. And and I talking to a guy about completely off-grid mobile laser etching setup that you can just kind of run wherever you're at, not have to be grid tied to do it, and then doing kind of some laser etching stuff on the side. I do knife sharpening, and we do all sorts of crafts and shit, like all sorts of stuff. Like we just learned everything that we could, and so I have those skills, and then I also have all the homesteading skills that I can provide for other people and trade for food or a place to park my camper or whatever. I got marketable skills. I've been in maintenance and stuff like that for a job for, the last decade. So I know electrical and carpentry and plumbing and all that fun stuff. And so, yeah, just use whatever skills I can. And if I can do that for myself, absolutely fantastic. If I got to get a job for someone else, then it is what it is. Like
you'll be way too busy with all your little projects to actually have a job. So don't even bother.
I'll just get my sugar mama to keep working, and
yeah, why not
do my thing. She's been with her employer for like 17 years or something like that, and I change jobs every like 3 to 5. So she's much more stable than I am. We already know this.
That's totally fine. That's why when I found you early on in me figuring out my thing, I was like, this guy's like me. I've had so many jobs too, but I mean, you take the award on that one. You've had way more than I have, but just like I've learned this thing well enough. Moving on.
I did that episode where I was like talking about all the jobs I had. I got done. I remembered like 5 other things after I was done. I was like I forgot a bunch.
That'll happen when you've had 30 or whatever.
Well, yeah, and in completely different directions too. Like
right.
I've never been bored unless I get bored. That's the problem. And then I got to go learn something new.
Sure. So what's the best part about homesteading?
Yeah, just being able to say screw off and like I don't need you for much. Like building, I have to say homesteading and building a community to tie together, so you can just tell everybody to F off, and I don't need anything from you. Like, oh, we're not going to let you have a job if you don't have certain medical procedures. So, well, I don't care, because I can feed myself, and I can get propane from the guy down the road who has a tank that if I let his chickens out or if I process a batch of chickens, he'll give me few grill tanks full of propane or whatever. Just being able to, if you have to say F off, like I don't have to do anything I don't want to. So freedom
Sure.
and autonomy.
So are you saying that homesteaders like naturally flock together and create their own communities? Like it's not like we're homesteaders, let's create a community, that it just happens that way, like on its own. So like, uh, you know, bartering with your neighbor to get the things that you both need.
Naturally, I don't know about naturally. I think you have to work at it. You have to, um, you, you have to seek out what you need. Like I don't just magically expect to be working here on my farm and need a source for beef, and some dude just roll up and be like, "Hey, man, I heard you thinking about needing some beef." Like I have to be proactive at it. Like
Well,
I need.
it's not like what the hell is the term? Like, I'm gonna physically manifest it because I'm thinking about it. It's like I'm
No,
like, yeah, you gotta work at it, but it's just
but
like a natural like coming together, like
right. I mean, my beef guy
swapping tomato
introduced.
seeds or something.
Well, yeah. I mean, my beef, my the first pork guy I used here introduced me to a different to a butcher who introduced me to a different pork guy who ended up putting windows in my house. So,
Hmm.
like, it it naturally expands once you get into the community. Um, People knows that other people because they needed whatever, and then it's building that social capital between contacts that they understand what you can provide, and then you can also reach out to them and tell them what you need, and they can send that out into their webs also. So I
Right.
think that's how it naturally develops. It's like mycelium and mushroom and fungi networks, but you have to work into it. I think you have to provide value. Like I had customers, here's an example. So I had customers that would buy stuff from me that were just customers. Like they were from the city or whatever. They just bought eggs or chicken or whatever. So I didn't know much about them. Like I knew enough to sell stuff to them. Like I knew how much they needed and, like when they would order and how I would market to them, what would appeal to them if they were a fitness person or a all natural person or whatever. But I didn't need to know their skill sets or stuff like that. But the guy down the road who I'm bartering with, like I know everything about him. Like I know what
Sure.
he does, I know who he knows. Like I make mental notes of that. And so that fosters that relationship. So if he ever needs anything, but he's sending me customers, I'm sending him customers. We're bartering for knowledge and contacts. So that just grows that. So yeah, that's where you find that growth is people that you are customers of too. Like when I would go to somebody's farm to say expand my rabbitry, like I wanted to add new bloodlines to my rabbitry, so I would barter some rabbits or buy rabbits from somebody, and I would go and I would just talk to them and like, oh, what are
Yeah.
you doing here? Oh, I'm doing rabbits, but I'm doing pigs. I got pigs out back. So I talked to them about pigs. Well, where'd you get your pigs? Well, I breed my own pigs. Well, now I got a pig guy if I need it. Like if I need it sometime,
Hmm.
or if somebody asks me, anybody that sells pigs, but you have to work into that. You have to provide some value in that. So initially, my value was I was buying product from them, so that like
Sure.
solidifies that relationship. I can't just call them up and be like, "Hey, let's network. Let's be homestead buddies." Like build it
Right.
with
Right.
value.
Right. Right. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Like through your own interests, you find other people and connect with them, and it's just how making friends works, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
so.
Yeah, I look at it as like a sales funnel almost. Like I'm willing to talk to anybody. Willing and open to sell. Like everybody's money's green, man. Like I don't care
Hmm.
if you're right wing, left wing, no wing. I don't care. If you want to buy my shit and you have money, like it's all that matters.
Yeah.
Uh, now as I get to know you, if you are going to provide me other sales leads or whatever, like there's this narrowing funnel that comes down to the bottom people are people that I feel I trust, like I value their quality of work or their value as a customer, that I would never really want to lose them. Like I'm always willing to fire customers too. That was something I learned a long time ago. Some customers just aren't worth it. Like you have to bend over backwards for them. They're always complaining. Nothing's right. They always want something extra. Like sometimes it's just not worth the money you're making off them, and you need to fire that customer. So, but there are customers that provide such a value for other reasons, contact wise or whatever,
Sure.
that they're like a never let go. So that's that networking funnel. Once you get down there, if you're one of those contacts in that never let go, I will foster that relationship beyond anything, do anything for you. That's just who I am.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So you decided to shift gears and shut down your homestead. You like, when are you leaving your job? Is it like dependent on selling your house?
Yeah.
Okay. They're just like every week, like if you show up, like, oh, I guess Brian's here today. Like, I guess he's working another week.
Pretty much. Like we're going to Tennessee for 2 weeks here. I don't know when this will be airing, but we're like, so right now, what are we on May? Like yesterday was my anniversary.
22nd.
Yeah, it's May 22nd. So yesterday was my anniversary. It was May 21st. And so we're leaving for Self-Reliance June 7th.
Okay.
And we're gone for 2 weeks. So I put a PTO request in and crossed off request and just put the dates in that I wasn't going to be at work. And yeah, like,
I mean, can they really say no? Because I mean,
we're so shorthanded right now. We've been sort of shorthanded that it's just like, and I'm to a point where, you know, if they were like, no, I would still go. And when I got back, I would just find something else short term. Like when the gas station's hiring at $15 an hour, like I can find a job. I have enough skill set that everyone around here is hiring that I can go find a job if I need to for a couple months or whatever. So I'm not really worried. I'm not worried about losing my job. I don't get any benefits from them. It's a paycheck is all it is.
Sure.
So if they want me to come back, I make decent money. I'll come back and work for them, but that's all it is. It's just an exchange. I'm not trying to build a career there. It's I'm giving you my time for a paycheck, is it?
Yeah, it's pretty much how I feel too. I mean, like it sucks to feel that way, but at the same time, like this is how I feel. Like I don't know what you want me to do. I'm just not invested in it. Like
I was never meant to work for someone else either. Like I end up having a really hard time dealing with consequences of other people's poor decisions.
Sure.
So I get a really bad attitude after a while. Like I can deal with that while I'm learning a skill and it's benefiting me to deal with that kind of crap because I'm learning a new skill. I'm stimulated. I'm motivated, and then once I've mastered the skill and it becomes like just every day same grind of doing the same thing, dealing with those consequences of other people's actions, now don't have that benefit of me acquiring a new skill, and then I get all pissed off and bored and want to leave. So that's my work history in a nutshell.
The other thing that makes me mad, and because this is the longest job I've ever held, it hasn't really happened anywhere else, but like the people that you work with, like you just need more variety also. Like, okay, this thing happened. I bet he's going to tell one of 25 stories that I've heard 8 times already. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I've heard this story so many times. I know exactly what he's going to say. And I'll try to cut him off ahead of time. Like, oh yeah, that's kind of like that time that and then he'll be like, and then he'll go and tell the story again. Like, I haven't heard it before. Like,
mine's so bad.
I know.
I'm a service tech and I work by myself, but the damn store managers are the same way. So I service the same handful of stores, 20 to 30 different stores. So once you go to them enough, you get that same thing. And man, I deal with like the lowest level of employee, like I'm dealing with gas station attendants, trying to ask them technical questions to help me do my job. And yeah,
It's like
and
it's
the
like
general
the
public,
dude walking into like in Idiocracy, like walking into Costco, like welcome to
literally, I've
Costco, I love
been
you.
literally Ben walked into a gas station, and in Idiocracy, when he goes to the hospital and the girl's like looking at the thing, looking at all the pictures, like I've literally met that person as a gas station attendant, and I had to try to get information out of them on what was going
Oh
on,
no.
why I was there to fix this mystery issue. Yeah.
Just hit the question mark button.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good.
Do you have a manager call number that I could call your boss, and maybe they could
phone?
Yeah. So,
Phone. Yeah.
and then the general public, I will guarantee you there's no smart test to get a driver's license. Not at all. Not at
Just
all.
the bare minimum. Just like
I mean, I think if you can breathe, you can get one in the state of
that's
Minnesota.
the bare minimum. That is true. It is weird driving in different places, and we're completely off on a tangent, but that's totally fine. It is weird driving different places. Like here is so much more relaxed. Like I was on the phone with my mom shortly after we moved here, and I was like, "Oh man, that guy cut me off." And my mom's like, "Did you honk? I didn't hear you honk." And I'm like, "It's not a big deal that he cut me off. Like I'm not mad about it or whatever." Like people drive like dicks in the cities because cities are full of dicks, and that's just not how it is here. So
it was great. We were coming in. We went out to Seattle last fall, and our trailer is our kind of maiden voyage. And we were coming into Montana from North Dakota, and the trooper was just like sitting at the border waving at people coming in. Like everybody that came down the highway, there were like a little clusters of cars, and so there's a couple in front of me, and he's just sitting in the median, like facing North Dakota. And so you're coming into the state, and everybody that went by, you could just see him just wave.
That's funny.
And I'm like, what a great state. The cops welcome you at the border.
I think North Dakota Highway Patrol can be dicks, and I think it's Idaho cops can be dicks. Like if you go, like I can't remember off the top of my head what the speed limit on I-90 is through Idaho, but like if they catch you going like 2 miles an hour over, I think they'll pull you over or something. But like
we were well under in Montana because we were on some like back road that was barely wide enough for the trailer, and it was like 40-mile-an-hour winds. So we were well under
that'll make
the
you pucker.
80-mile-an-hour speed limit.
It used to be that Montana had no speed limit.
Yeah.
And that changed probably, I don't know, 15 years ago or something. But one of my wife's like uncles, I think, every time I see him, they still have a no speed limit in Montana. Like, nope, Pat, that hasn't been that way in like 15 years. Like every time I see him, like, I remember you could go as fast as you want. Yep. That was before I moved there. Definitely before I moved there. But wrapping up here, what would you tell people that want to get started?
Do it. Go for it. Raise something, kill it, eat it, and you'll appreciate it. Like grow something in the ground, and you don't have to have 35 acres. You don't have to have 5 acres. You can do it in a half an acre. Do something to make yourself a little less dependent, a little less worried about shit, and kind of be able to de-stress your life, and know that at least you can go out and eat that egg, or at least you got one last meal. I mean, as nihilistic as that is, everybody says, well, I wonder if I'm going to eat tomorrow. Well, I can look outside, and I got, out the window right now, I got 7 chickens up there that I can count real quick that I know I'm going to eat for the next 7 days at least. So, and depending on how I manage them, probably a lot longer than that.
Sure, stretch it out. You don't even need a half an acre. interviewed a lady growing food out of her apartment. Like she makes enough salad, like lettuce, tomatoes, and I think peppers, to make like 2 or 3 salads a week. Just
Oh
a couple
yeah, I mean,
couple of pots on her balcony.
yeah. I had a 2x4 vertical hydro garden in my kitchen that you could feed a family of 4 all the greens they want, just in a 2x4 footprint. Now it
Do you
was
have
like
a video on that?
I don't, but I have a playlist that I built it from.
Good enough.
It was Jack Spirko's from Survival Podcast. It was his original vertical hydroponic garden that he built for
The cracky one?
yeah. No, it was Flood and Drain. It was the one he took to Mother Earth News
Okay.
convention that he kind of built and then built again there, did the demonstration. Sure. He's changed it into like a seed starting system, but I built it before he changed it. And then I also ended up building 2 complete microgreen systems with the same concept that we use to sell microgreens at farmers markets. So
nice.
got a bunch of hydro experience too in there. But yeah, you can do that in an apartment or in a house or in a basement or in a spare bedroom and provide all your greens in a 2x4 spot. Easy.
Awesome. Yeah. What do you want to wrap up on that? Is there something that you want to cover before we go into extras in the post show?
I don't know. Check out my podcast. It's growing that. It's I do a half hour ish every morning. It's Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. I do it live on all sorts of streaming platforms. I think there's 9 of them now. So all of the normal YouTube, Odyssey, now on my Telegram chat, I stream live there. Do everything. Like I'm kind of in a transitional phase right now, trying to figure out which direction I want to go with the podcast. But I'm at, I don't know, 120 episodes. And I kind of went over everything we did on the farm, all the different ventures and revenue streams and monetization and right through that. And then kind of into the conversion of the camper. And now I'm just trying to figure out what I want to talk about. I might go back over some stuff and go in depth, or if we hit the road, that'll be easy content. That's just what did you do today? But
you could start sabotaging yourself, like we got a flat tire.
Yeah, no, I can just pretend, and I'm good with that.
That's true.
But yeah, that's kind of what I got going on now. It's really weird. It's really weird scaling back, and like you said. When I was mentioning the stuff we did, like how much it was. And now that we're down to just like a dozen free range chickens that we throw food to, and it takes 20 minutes a day or 20 seconds a day, not even 20 minutes. But yeah, it's amazing how much time you can put into content creation and different stuff like that. And why I didn't do that the whole time was because I was so busy and internet too. Like we finally got decent internet when we moved into the trailer. We explored mobile options and kind of went down that route and realized it's about 8 times faster than the home internet we've had the whole time we were here. So there would have been no live streaming on our internet from our house.
No, I can barely do it here, and I don't even have that bad of internet. I don't know why my stuff goes out every now and then, but yeah, I'll have links to all your stuff in the show notes, and I appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, no problem, man. I appreciate it. It's been fun talking and just kind of bullshitting about everything that got going on.
Yeah, you keep working hard, and I'm just going to keep copying you. So just
I just figured out I blazed those paths and figured it out. Yeah,
yeah, I appreciate it. Well, hey, we'll talk to you later. Awesome interview. Brian's got tons of knowledge, experience, and drive to be really valuable to everyone he meets. I hope to also be as valuable someday. Thanks for watching, everyone. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and most importantly, share this video. Check out our website, farmhoplife.com. Sign up for our email list there to be notified when new videos, interviews, and podcasts are available. If you could be censored for saying something, couldn't you also be censored for not saying something? Ever think about that? So let's stay in touch. Send me a message, farmhoplife.com/contact, or email me anytime, Matt at farmhoplife.com. It all ends up in the same spot. I'm always looking for new people to interview, so if you want to come on to talk about homesteading, farming, food security, homeschooling, regenerative agriculture, alternative building methods, just go to farmhoplife.com/guest. Go feed yourself.